Got the wire tie baler in here again. Trying to get it ready to bale hay this summer. The twine tie baler is pretty good. I haven't looked it over yet, but this one I've been looking over pretty heavily because it's got some problems. Obviously, they circled the big one. But you got the wire twisters sorted out. I have to run some bales through it to get it really dialed in. Want to replace the header pickup tines. They're cheap and they're fairly easy to replace. You just take the guard off and pull the old one out and put a new one on there and spin it around and do that a couple hundred times. But that side, all the tines are pretty good. This side, they're worn and they've been rubbing on these guards. The last few seasons I had it, I put plastic guards on there because they kept on wearing out at the bottom where these springs would rub on them. And I don't know, it just dawned on me that doesn't seem quite right. Shouldn't be doing that. So I found the problem here. That bearing's toast. Not an expensive part, but all this has to come apart to get that part out and the new one back in. So that's going to be an all-week job probably. Picking at it a couple hours every day. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot of YouTube support on stuff like this. The only one I saw was an old baler, and the guy just cut the shaft there and pulled the bearing out and put a new bearing in, put the shaft back in place and welded it. I don't think I'm going to go that route. I'm just going to pull it all apart and figure out how to do it properly. It's a learning experience. That shaft is pinned to this plate, which has all the pickup tine bars, and that shaft is what the bearing rides on. So what I have to do is pull that shaft out. There's a lot of magic in this end that has to come apart, and then that has to come apart, and that is the end of the shaft that should slide out and let me get a bearing on that side. In theory anyway. We'll figure out as we go along, take it apart and reverse engineer this thing to learn how it goes back together. Anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing. Alright, I'll update the progress. I got all the baler guards off, the pickup tine guards. The original guards, you don't have to take the bolts all the way out. There's a slot. You can loosen them. If you ever change pickups, you know what I'm talking about. You bolt tightens there, then you can loosen all four, pull the guard forward and slip the nut of the bolt head through this bigger gap. On these ones, I had to take the bolts all the way out. They actually have different bolts because they're fatter, so they come with longer bolts on these plastic ones. So once all the tine guards are off, I've been going through and pulling the cap bolts, the bearing cap bolts out. They're kind of difficult. I had to take a 17-inch Harbor Freight wrench and grind it down so I can get the bolt head, or the nut is so close to that bearing cap that you can't get a regular boxing wrench on there. And I found if I try to use the open end, it tends to round them off and make a bigger mess. So that's what I did to my Harbor Freight wrench to make it work right. I can see these bearings seem kind of loose, so I might replace those while I'm in there. But anyway, once you get that side off and that side off, you can sling this around like that, and that gives you enough room to pull that off of there and slide it out of there. And I only got 3 more to go. I rounded the bolt head off the first one and I gave up on it, so that's going to be the last one I do, and it's going to be kind of troublesome. But anyway, I'll show you what this side, I can almost get a socket on this side and reef on that, get that out. But over here, slide it around to where it's easy. The problem is I can't get a wrench on, a socket on there, and a regular 17 doesn't fit. If you see what I mean. So I ground this one off and it fits. So that's how I've been taking these off. You can see I put a new cam track in there not too long ago with new bearings. That got wore out pretty bad. I think probably because that bearing's been gone for so long that it wore the plate. And so this, I think, can stay. I'm looking at this. So you see that? Those two blocks with a split in the middle. This plate, I think, has that square spot where it clamps onto the shaft. So focus. I don't know if you can see what I mean. There's a gap right there and a bolt squishing it onto this shaft here. I think it's the same over here. Yeah, that's a better picture of what I'm dealing with there. I imagine this shaft probably has a little U cut out of it, and that block will pinch onto the shaft and that bolt will slide on the U, but I'm not sure exactly 100% yet. We'll update you when I get to that part. Anyway, this is my crappy YouTube video how I'm doing bearings on a baler pickup. Anyway, you see what I mean with these tines? We're rubbing on those guards and they get shiny and they wear out. Some of them break like this one did. Once the baler pickup tines are off, it's a lot easier, but that's a lot of work to climb under here and do all of them down there and all of them up here. But you know, you just do it, keep plugging away at it, don't rush it, it'll come. Yeah, update you in a little bit. We're down to the last one, which I started on first, and then I got my system down. I bring them around till they're at this clock position. That bearing cap's already undone. This one you can see I've fought it a little bit with the open end and boogered it up pretty good. So I put the wrench on there. That's ground down. I'll show you that one more time. Took the grinder to that boxed end. If you try it with an open end, it rounds off. You can see where it rounded it off. So at this end, my angle of the wrench will fit over here without interfering with the plate. So I'll get that kind of started. Get this wrench over here and kind of hammer it into place so it seats on there right. Get it on there as tight as you can and try to get it on there as snug as you can. And these are on there pretty tight, so I double up my wrench. If you don't know how to do that, you just take the box in, slide in the open end. See how the angle is there? If you do it like that, you're at a different angle. Do it like that, you're about straight. Now the problem I have here is that I don't have anything. I was putting my foot on the next bar, but anyway, I don't know if you're gonna be able. Alright, so we got all the tine bars off. Really opens up the area here. You can see that one there. This one, I rigged up this contraption with an extension and a wobbly extension. Well, it's not wobbly, it's just cut so it can have a different angle on the socket. As you can see, I got that bolt loosened. I need something to hold on the other end, so I'll maybe get a wrench in there or something and come back with you once that's off and tell you what I found there. Alright, so I got the bolt out. The bolt went through there. I took this little punch and hammered it into that split to pry these apart. It's welded here and it's welded there, but this block holds quite a bit of tension on that shaft, so I hammered that in there so I could slide it out, and it has some play now. It can move, but you don't want to drive this all the way in and pin it back to the shaft, because then you're counterproductive. There's a key on the bottom, and that's the witness mark where that gap was. Here you can really see that bearing was toast, and it surprisingly didn't catch fire. Bearing failure is the #1 leading cause to fire on balers. Ask me how I know. I run a Super F round baler. And these New Holland square balers. Anyway, yeah, that's without even monkeying with that, I'm going to see if I can get this bearing retainer out and see if those, I really hope I don't have to stick a wrench to there, but I might have to. I'm hoping these are blind and threaded into this meaty portion of steel. Firstly, there might have been a cover down there to keep the hay out of that bearing, but it has since left the chat. Anyway, if I feel spicy, I'll take that side off and start pulling apart that chain, seeing how hard that would be to pull that shaft out of there. Anyway, I'm gonna see if I can get those bolts out without them needing a backup wrench. We'll come back at you in a little bit. I only have me and myself here, so I only have two hands. I can't video and wrench at the same time, and the camera gets in the way and slows me down all the time. So I would like to have this a little more involved video, but I'm just showing you step by step how I'm doing this. Alright, so those bolts that hold the bearing retainer on them, the nuts are actually welded to the backside. There's an access hole here, but you don't really need that to get the bolt out because the nut is welded, which is good in some ways and bad when you go to take the last one out and it squeaks and creaks and then pops, and you can't really get enough penetrating lube back there because it's all full of hay. Surprised this didn't catch fire, really, honestly. It was close, but anyway, hopefully if you're doing this and you need to get that last bolt out, if I do it again, I'd clean it out a little bit more and get some more penetrating oil on that. I've been using PV Blaster. That's my go-to method of getting rusty bolts out. But I was pushing a little too fast on this one and broke that bolt. Should have cleaned out the hay and soaked it a little bit more. But we got the bearing retainer loose, but we don't have room to get the bearing off, so I have to go over here, take that bolt out of that plate and pry that open, slide this out, and then I'll start taking apart that part. So I'm about 5.5 hours into this job, but I've been pushing it real fast, so we'll come at you when I get this plate apart. Alright, so I got the bolt out, the punches in, splaying those two blocks apart. Trick to this is just get angry at it. You know, it's gonna be stuck on there, so you just, you can tell it's getting close. I've been working on this too long. It gets to a point where it's snug. Once that gunk works out, slide it back. Try not to rip your fingers up on these sharp pieces of metal everywhere. Yeah. Again, same thing. Plate. This one has these fancy angle irons sticking out of it, I guess to clean out the crud from the D track, the cam track. There's my pin. There's the place it sat. There's the spline. I'm going to leave those in for now. Hopefully I won't lose them. I don't want to fight them. And I'm going to take apart the gunk over here. Got to pull this chain. The bearing retainer Once that bearing retainer's loose, I think, whew, how much room do I got for that spline shaft? Not much. I might have to take that spline key, the woodruff key, out, because it's not going to fit through there. Might as well do it now before I get too screwed up in this thing. So, alright, I'm going to fight that woodruff key, start taking the chain off and all that goodness. I'm going to have to turn the lights on here in a bit. We got ourselves a sunset. Anyway, I might take a break here in a little bit. I've been going too hard at this for too long. Alright, I'll come back at you when I get that key out and the chain off and what I find over here. Alrighty, be back in a bit. Alright, so I fought with the woodruff key and now the radio's turned up because I had that blast in, and we'll turn that down. Alright, I didn't get the woodruff key out. I'm too worried about that right now. I want to get this sprocket off here. There was a stack of shims. Well, a stack of shims underneath this cotter pin. Helps if I show you what I'm doing. There's a cotter pin there, stack of shims, snap ring, bushing, spacer, bearing thingy. So that was like that. Snap ring on top of this, kind of obvious if you see this in the daytime and you know what you're doing. But it's stuck on there still, so 3-jaw puller. I hate getting specialty tools out because that means there's a job that's going to take a little finesse, which means I don't want to break this sprocket. Anyway, I'll get this set up and let you know if I get this sprocket off here. I don't know if it's going to slide off. There's some more shims. I don't know if it's going to slide off here or it's going to pull that snap ring part off. There's like an inner bearing and a, I don't know. I know there's a keyway there, but yeah, we'll see what goes here. I'll put that 3-jaw puller on there and see if I can get that off. Sorry for the lack of turning wrenches. I just can't do it and film at the same time. Anyway, let you know. We got it moving. If this thing gets stuck and you're getting a lot of pressure on it, take your hammer and shock the end of the 3-jaw puller, and that can break it loose. And you gotta spin it the right way and hold the camera as you're filming. This is gonna be a really bad video. How do I hold that with my leg and film? This is dangerous. If I had a tripod, you could see, I don't know, you've all seen a 3-jaw puller. If you got one, you know what's going on here. It's coming off the shaft, which is good, I guess, because I don't know what's all inside this wizardry of sprockets and weirdness. I don't know. If you look at the back side of this sprocket, there's some goofy stuff going on. I don't know if it works right. I mean, it all spins on a keyway, but some sort of ratcheting doodad right there that goes over and catches a hook on the back of that thing. If I had my impact gun, this would go on really fast, but that's up at the house, and I'm about a mile away at the shop. Comes to think of it, I don't have a ride back. I guess I'll take the Oliver home. It's got headlights that I fixed the other day. Sorry for the seasickness video. I just thought you might want to come along for this part. I'm going to drop this on the floor pretty soon. It's going to be loud. Hopefully I can keep holding my phone. He's gonna fight the whole way. Put my knee under there. There's the back side. So we got a little bit left to go. Oh, new episode of Roadkill comes out tonight. Sweet. Order parts and watch Roadkill after midnight. And wake up early and do horse stalls. Daylight savings was today, so that's fun. Can I just pull this off? Yep, there it goes. Another keyway, another little bushing. That bearing's okay. Get this 3-job powder out of the way. Here's what I was talking about. See that little... It doesn't move. But it seems like that should pivot on the inner part. I don't know what that feature does. Keeps it from, you can spin it backwards maybe without turning the I don't know. I'll leave that there. My 17-inch socket, I mean. Get those 3 bolts out and see if this shaft will skadoodle on out of there. You know, I've seen wrenches turn. I'll come back to you when I get those 3 bearing bolts out. Well, I got the bearing cap out. There's 3 bolts that hold the bearing retainer. This one, of course, at the bottom of this, there's a hole up here, but the nuts are welded to the inside, so you can douse them with PB Blaster, which I ran out of on the last bolt. So I sprinkled some red dye diesel in there and just worked it back and forth until it came out of there. So I think I can pull this out, and the other side's going to drop. And I can only pull it out to that keyway, but we'll see. There might be enough slack to get it all the way out past the keyway there. That's it sure did. There's the bearing and the bearing retainer collar. That should be internal hex head, Allen key somewhere on there. Right there. So you loosen that out. And they got this centric locking deal where it's offset from the collar to the bearing, and that bearing retainer holds it from the inside spinning. I'll replace that bearing too, but let's look at this carnage over here, shall we? Look at that bearing. Ain't nothing there, Lieutenant. Everybody already got run off or killed. It's spicy. Yeah, that Woodruff key, that half moon key would put up a fight, so I'm just going to leave it there. There's the locking mechanism for the bearing. It's so rounded off. Here's my broken bolt. Same one, I had trouble on the other side, but I learned my lesson on this one. So much gunk in there. Anyway, now we just lay in bed and get the phone out and order all the parts we need and type that into the Mesics website and give them a credit card info, and they maybe will send me parts if my credit card has money on it. Anyway, I'm tired. The sun is set. So I'm going to jump on the 1850, unhook the baler, close the doors, and drive home. Anyway, should I make an install video or is this too much? Let me know. Make sure you do not like or subscribe or leave any comments on my videos because I don't want them going viral now. Come on. I ain't want to be monetized on YouTube. Anyway, jokes aside, that was a lot of work. You're looking at a full day of tear down, and it might go together in another half a day. If you're a mere mortal, figure 2 days of this job. Or if you're a night owl like me and you got the parts, you'd stay around until 12 o'clock at midnight putting it back together. Anyway, that's the job there. Hope this is educational in some ways. The people that need to know how to do this know how to do it. You don't have to cut the shaft. You just have to take all the bolts and nuts and guards and everything apart. Pull these 2 plates out of the way. Get a 3-jaw puller on that. Get the bearing out. And then, yeah, we might get old Sparky out there and just cut that race and hammer it off because it's probably stuck on there pretty good. Oh, and did I tell you I had to get old Sparky on this last bolt? My camera died. So, had an engineering dispute. I wasn't able to get the grinder all the way through the bolt, so I just nibbling at the nut until I get hammered off with that punch. Unfortunately, I did not save the washer, so I'll have to get a new one of those. Anyway, a few bolts that I can run to the hardware store and replace them, get the bearings. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a bearing kit on all these tine bars because it's off now and they're sloppy, so I don't know, another $100 or so until I get on the website and realize it's way too much money. They're not all, that was bad. That was bad. I don't know about that one. This one isn't too bad, but these are wearable items, so change them out now. I'm going to definitely order some new tines because I don't got enough to go through all of them like I thought I would. Yep, good stuff. This video got too long, so I'll splice it together and post it on YouTube. Catch you on the flip side.